A young nurse bathed a millionaire in a coma, but when he suddenly woke up, something miraculous happened. The fluorescent lights in Westbridge Private Health Hospital hummed softly as Anna Monroe walked through the pristine white halls. She had been a nurse here for almost 2 years, but today felt different. The moment she received the unexpected summons to Dr. Harris's office, the head of neurology, a strange feeling settled in her chest. Had she done something wrong? Was she being transferred? She took a deep breath before knocking on the polished mahogany door. "Come in." Stepping inside, she found Dr. Harris standing near the window, his hands clasped behind his back, his usual sharp eyes fixed on the city skyline. His office smelled of sterile antiseptic and expensive leather, and the atmosphere was heavier than usual. "Anna," he said, finally turning to her. His voice was measured, serious. "We have a patient who requires special care. But this job is not for the weak-hearted." Anna's brows furrowed. "Not for the weak-hearted? What kind of patient?" she asked cautiously. Dr. Harris studied her for a moment before gesturing toward a thick medical file on his desk. "Grant Carter," he said. Anna's breath caught in her throat. Grant Carter. The Grant Carter. Even if she hadn't recognized the name immediately, the cover of the file said it all. A black and white newspaper clipping of a horrific car crash. A year ago, the youngest billionaire in the city had been in a devastating accident. His sports car had veered off a bridge in the middle of the night, leaving him in a coma ever since. His name had once dominated headlines. Grant Carter, the ruthless, untouchable CEO of Carter Enterprises, the man who built an empire at just 32. Now, he was nothing more than a ghost trapped in his own body. His family rarely visits, Dr. Harris continued, and most of the medical staff simply do their rounds out of obligation. But Grant Carter needs someone dedicated, someone who will actually care. Anna bit her lip. She could hear the hesitation in his voice. "And you think that someone is me?" Dr. Harris nodded. "I do." Anna took a slow breath. It was a daunting task, taking care of a man who might never wake up, a man whose wealth and power once dictated the lives of thousands. But deep down, she knew her answer before she even spoke. "I'll do it." Dr. Harris's lips pressed into a thin line, but there was a glint of approval in his eyes. "Good. Your shift starts tonight?" The private suite on the top floor of the hospital felt eerily quiet as Anna stepped inside. Unlike the cold sterility of the other patient rooms, this one was designed for luxury. A spacious layout, dimmed chandeliers, dark oak furniture. And in the center of it all lay Grant Carter. Her breath hitched as she took him in. Despite the tubes, the machines keeping him alive, and the stillness of his body, he was beautiful. Strong jawline, dark lashes against his pale skin, broad shoulders visible under the hospital gown. If not for the lifeless stillness, he could have easily passed for a man simply sleeping. But this was no ordinary sleep. This was a man trapped in a never-ending silence. Anna swallowed hard and stepped closer, adjusting his IV drip before reaching for the warm cloth prepared for him. She hesitated for just a second before gently pressing it against his skin. The moment she touched him, a strange chill ran through her spine, a sensation she couldn't explain. Like he could feel her there. Like somewhere in the depths of his unconsciousness, he knew. A soft beep from the heart monitor filled the silence, steady and rhythmic. Anna shook off the odd feeling and continued her work, carefully wiping his arms, his chest, making sure his body remained clean and cared for. "I guess you don't get a say in this, huh?" she murmured, almost to herself. Silence. "I'll take that as a no." A small smile tugged at her lips despite herself. The days turned into a routine. Every morning and evening, Anna would bathe him, change his sheets, monitor his vitals. But soon it wasn't just about medical care. She found herself talking to him, telling him stories about her day, about the world outside his window. "You should see the cafeteria food, Grant. It's tragic. Even for a billionaire, I doubt you'd survive it." Silence. "I don't even know why I'm talking to you. Maybe I just like the sound of my own voice." Silence. Silence. "Or maybe you're actually listening." The heart monitor beeped steadily, as if answering her. And maybe, just maybe, he was. Anna hummed softly as she dipped a clean washcloth into the warm water. The sterile quiet of Grant's private hospital suite was something she had grown used to over the weeks. The steady beep of the heart monitor, the faint hum of the IV drip, it was all part of the background now. She leaned over the bed, carefully wiping Grant's face, her fingers gentle but precise. You know, she said, her voice light, I read somewhere that people in comas can still hear things. So, technically, you're the worst listener I've ever met. No response, of course. She sighed, shaking her head. It's okay. I'm used to talking to myself now. She moved to clean the curve of his jaw when... A slight movement. Her breath caught. Had she imagined it? She froze, staring at his hand. Nothing. The fingers lay motionless against the crisp white sheets. Anna let out a small laugh, shaking her head. Great, now I'm hallucinating. Maybe I'm the one who needs a hospital bed. But the unease lingered. And over the next few days, it happened again. The second time she was adjusting his pillow. She wasn't looking when she felt it. The faintest pressure against her wrist. Her head snapped down. Grant's hand had shifted. Only by a fraction of an inch, but enough to make her stomach flip. Grant, she whispered, hardly realizing she had said his name. Silence. The same rhythmic beep, beep, beep of the monitor. She placed her hand over his, feeling his warmth, his stillness, his potential movement. Nothing. Was she imagining things? Or was something changing? Anna couldn't shake the feeling, so she reported it to Dr. Harris. He moved? The doctor arched a skeptical brow. I think so, Anna admitted. At first I thought I imagined it, but it keeps happening. His fingers twitch. His hand shifts slightly. It's small, but it's there. Dr. Harris leaned back in his chair, deep in thought. We'll run tests, he finally said. But don't get your hopes up too high, Anna. It could just be reflexive muscle spasms. Anna nodded, but deep down, she didn't believe that. She felt something happening. And when the test results came back, she wasn't surprised. There's increased brain activity, Dr. Harris told her. His neurological responses are stronger than before. Her heart leaped. So he's waking up. Dr. Harris hesitated. Not necessarily. It could mean anything. But it's a good sign. It wasn't the answer she wanted. But it was enough. That night, as she sat beside his bed, Anna found herself talking to Grant more than usual. I don't know if you can hear me, but something tells me you can, she murmured. She glanced at his face, at his strong features, still unmoving. But for the first time, she felt like she wasn't alone in the room. So she talked. She told him about her day, about the patients who frustrated her, about the rude doctor on the third floor who always stole her coffee. She told him about her childhood, about the small town she grew up in, about how she always dreamed of being a nurse. And as she spoke, she didn't realize that deep in the silence of his coma, Grant was listening. The morning sun filtered through the hospital room's large windows, casting a warm glow on Grant Carter's motionless form. The beeping of the heart monitor filled the silence, steady and rhythmic, just like it had been for the past year. Anna stood beside the bed, rolling up her sleeves. This was just another day. Another routine bath, another round of talking to someone who might never answer her. She dipped a warm cloth into the basin, wrung it out, and began gently wiping Grant's chest, her movements precise and careful. You know, Grant, she murmured, smiling faintly, I was thinking about getting a dog. I need someone to listen to me who won't just lie there and ignore me all day. Silence. She sighed. Okay, Rude, I was just making conversation. She reached for his arm, running the cloth over his skin, her fingers brushing against his wrist. And then, his fingers tightened around her wrist. Anna froze. A sharp breath lodged in her throat as she stared at his hand. The pressure wasn't much, gentle, weak, hesitant, but it was there. Oh my God! Her heart pounded violently, her pulse ringing in her ears. She wanted to believe it was just another reflex, just another meaningless twitch. But it wasn't. Because then, Grant's eyes snapped open. For a moment, Anna couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. She had spent months staring at those closed eyelids, watching for any sign of movement, any flicker of life. And now, those deep ocean blue eyes were looking right at her. They were confused, unfocused, vulnerable, but alive. Grant's dry lips parted. His voice was hoarse, barely a whisper, but it was real. Company. La-I? Anna's entire body tensed. Her knees almost buckled, her breath caught between disbelief and sheer panic. He spoke. He woke up. The impossible had just happened. She barely registered the basin of water slipping from her grip, splashing onto the pristine white floor as she stumbled backward. Oh my God! Her instincts kicked in. She turned and slammed her hand against the emergency button on the wall. A loud alarm blared through the hallway. Seconds later, the door burst open, and a team of doctors and nurses rushed in, led by Dr. Harris. "What happened?" Dr. Harris demanded as he moved to the bedside, already checking Grant's vitals. Anna's voice shook. He grabbed my hand. He opened his eyes. She looked back at Grant, still unable to believe what she was seeing. His chest rose and fell shakily, his eyes darting around the room as if trying to piece together where he was, what was happening. He wasn't fully aware, not yet, but he was here. Dr. Harris's expression turned from shock to action. "Get me a neurological team now." Nurses scrambled, voices overlapping in disbelief as they hurried to perform tests. The room was a whirlwind of motion, but Anna couldn't take her eyes off Grant. Then, as if feeling her gaze, his eyes found hers again. And this time he didn't look away. Everything was happening so fast. The doctors were asking him questions, shining lights into his pupils, testing his motor functions. But through it all, Grant's gaze kept drifting back to Anna. She stepped forward hesitantly, swallowing hard. "Grant," she whispered. "Do you remember anything?" He stared at her, blinking slowly. A long silence stretched between them. Then, his fingers twitched again, and before she could react, he reached for her hand. Weakly, slowly, but deliberately. His hand closed around hers, his grip fragile yet firm, as if he had always known her. Anna's breath hitched. Dr. Harris looked up sharply. "Grant, do you know who she is?" Grant didn't answer immediately. His brows furrowed, his gaze never leaving Anna's. "I don't know," he murmured, voice rough from months of disuse. "But I feel like I should." A chill ran down Anna's spine. Because even though Grant Carter didn't remember her, something deep inside him did. The days after Grant's miraculous awakening were filled with tests, therapy, and endless questions. Doctors were amazed by his recovery. Physically, he was weak but improving. His muscles, stiff from a year of immobility, were regaining strength through rehabilitation. But mentally, that was another story. Grant couldn't remember anything about the accident, and the more they pressed him for details, the more frustrated he became. "Grant, let's try again," Dr. Harris said during one of their sessions. "What's the last thing you remember?" Grant rubbed his temples, his expression tense. I don't know." "Anything? Where you were? What you were doing?" Grant exhaled sharply. "I told you. It's just pieces, flashes. Tell me about them." A long silence. Then, Grant closed his eyes, his brows furrowing. "I remember a feeling." His voice was slow, uncertain. Like something was wrong. Like I was in danger. Anna, who had been listening quietly from the side, stiffened. Grant continued, his fingers clenching. There was a road, headlights, and then nothing. Just black. Dr. Harris sighed. "It's common for trauma victims to block out painful memories. It may come back on its own. But for now, we focus on recovery." Grant nodded, but Anna could see the frustration in his clenched jaw. And deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. That night, unable to stop thinking about it, Anna went to the hospital archives. She had read Grant's file before, but this time, she went through every detail with fresh eyes. And that's when she saw it. Something she had missed before. The report from the accident reconstruction team stated that Grant's brakes had failed. Failed. Not worn out. Not malfunctioned. Tampered. A chill ran down her spine. This wasn't just an unfortunate crash. Someone had wanted Grant dead, and he had no idea. Taking a shaky breath, she closed the file. She needed to tell him. Because if someone had tried to kill him once, they might try again. Grant's recovery was happening at a remarkable speed. In just a few weeks, he had gone from being bedridden to sitting up, eating on his own, and speaking in full sentences. Now, with the help of physical therapy, he was learning to walk again. And through it all, Anna was there. Every step, every struggle, every frustrating moment where he wanted to give up, she pulled him back. "I can't do this," Grant muttered, gripping the parallel bars tightly as he attempted to lift himself. "Yes, you can," Anna said firmly, standing beside him. "You've already come this far, Grant. Don't stop now." He turned to look at her, his breathing heavy. She wasn't just saying words to motivate him. She truly believed in him, and that made him believe in himself. With a determined exhale, he took another step forward. Anna's face lit up. That's it. For the first time since waking up, Grant smiled. Not out of politeness, not out of obligation, but because, for the first time, he felt alive again. And he knew exactly who to thank for that. Anna wasn't like the others. She didn't treat him like a charity case. She didn't see him as a billionaire trapped in a hospital bed. She saw him. Just Grant. And that was why he found himself gravitating toward her. Whenever she was in the room, the world felt lighter. Whenever she spoke, her voice pulled him from the darkness that sat still lingered in his mind. And whenever she touched him, a hand on his arm, steadying him as he walked, adjusting his pillow, his skin tingled with something he couldn't explain. One night, after a particularly long therapy session, Anna suggested taking a walk in the hospital's garden. Fresh air might do you some good, she said, smiling. Grant agreed. But what he didn't expect was how different everything would feel outside those hospital walls. The cool night air, the rustling trees, the moon casting a soft glow over the world. For the first time, he felt like a person again. Not a patient. Not a mystery with missing memories. Just himself. Why? And beside him, Anna. They walked slowly, Anna holding onto his arm for support. At first, Grant thought it was just part of her job. But then, he saw the way her fingers lingered on his wrist. The way she glanced at him when she thought he wasn't looking. The way her breath hitched slightly whenever he stepped too close. And suddenly, he knew. She felt it too. That pull, that unspoken connection between them. They stopped near a small stone bench, the moonlight casting shadows across the garden. Grant turned to face her, his heartbeat unsteady for a different reason this time. Anna opened her mouth to say something. But before she could, Grant took her hand. Her lips parted in surprise, her eyes searching his. I don't remember anything about my life before this, he admitted, his voice low. But I know one thing for sure. Anna swallowed. What? He tightened his grip around her fingers. I trust you. The words were simple. But to him, they meant everything. And judging by the way Anna's breath caught in her throat, the way her cheeks flushed under the moonlight, the way she didn't pull away, she understood. And for now, that was enough. The night was restless. Grant tossed and turned in his hospital bed, his body still weak but his mind racing. And then, a flash. A sudden burst of memory crashed through his subconscious like a breaking dam. The road was dark. The rain poured against the windshield, his wipers struggling to keep up. Grant gripped the steering wheel tightly, his mind still clouded from the meeting he had just left. Something felt off. Off. Then, out of nowhere, headlights, bright, rushing toward him. A black SUV swerved into his lane at full speed. Grant yanked the wheel, his tires skidding on the slick pavement. The brakes, they didn't work. His heart pounded as he desperately tried to regain control. And just before impact, his eyes darted to the side of the road. A shadowy figure stood there, watching. And then, blackness! Grant's eyes snapped open, his breath coming in short, uneven gasps. His pulse raced, sweat clinging to his skin. The memory had been so vivid, so real. And now, he knew the truth. This wasn't an accident. Someone had tried to kill him. Anna noticed something was wrong the second she walked into his room the next morning. He was different. His usual smirk was gone. His body was tense. His hands were clenched into fists. Grant? She asked carefully. What's wrong? His piercing blue eyes locked onto hers, filled with a new intensity. I remember something. Anna's stomach dropped. The accident? He gave a stiff nod. It wasn't an accident, Anna. Someone tampered with my brakes. And there was a man, standing on the side of the road, just watching as my car crashed. Anna felt chills run down her spine. Everything she had suspected, he had just confirmed it. But the question remained. Who? And why? Why? Anna and Grant spent the next few days digging deeper, going through Grant's files, company records, and anything that could hint at someone wanting him gone. Then finally they found it. A financial transfer, a large sum of money wired just days before the accident. The recipient? A known criminal with a history of orchestrating staged crashes. And the sender? Nathan Carter, Grant's half-brother. The realization hit like a ton of bricks. It was him, Grant whispered, gripping the edge of the table. Nathan had always been jealous, always felt like Grant was the favorite, the one who inherited their father's legacy while he was left in the shadows. And now he had tried to erase Grant completely. Anna felt her heart clench. Grant, he wanted you dead. Grant's jaw tightened. And now, I'm going to make sure he pays. That evening, Grant and Anna arranged to meet Nathan face to face. In a dimly lit study inside the Carter estate, Nathan lounged in a leather chair, swirling a glass of whiskey as Grant and Anna entered. Well, well, Nathan smirked. The dead man walks. Grant's eyes burned with fury. Why did you do it, Nathan? Nathan took a slow sip of his drink. You already know why. Anna stepped forward. You tried to kill your own brother. For what? Money? Power? Nathan's smirk faded. For everything that should have been mine, he spat. You were always the golden child. The heir. The one who got everything handed to him. Well, guess what? I was tired of waiting for my turn. Grant's hands curled into fists. So you hired someone to sabotage my car. Nathan laughed coldly. I didn't think you'd survive. But hey, miracles happen, right? Anna felt rage boiling inside her. But before she could say anything, the door burst open, and 2 uniformed officers stepped inside. Nathan's face paled. Nathan Carter, one officer announced, you're under arrest for attempted murder. Nathan whipped around to Grant, his expression twisting into panic. You set me up. Grant tilted his head. No, brother. You set yourself up. Nathan was dragged away in handcuffs, screaming empty threats. And as the door slammed shut behind him, a heavy silence filled the room. Grant finally exhaled, his shoulders relaxing for the first time since waking up. It was over. Justice had been served. And he was finally free. The Carter estate had always been grand, imposing, and cold, a fortress of wealth built on generations of power. But tonight, as Anna stepped inside the dimly lit dining hall, it felt different. Warmer, more intimate. Soft candlelight flickered across the elegantly set table near the large glass windows overlooking the city skyline. The scent of fresh roses filled the air, and a bottle of wine sat chilling beside 2 perfectly placed plates. Anna's breath caught. Grant, what is all this? She asked, turning to face him. Grant stood behind her, his hands tucked into his pockets, his blue eyes soft yet intense. Dinner, he said simply. Just you and me. Anna's chest tightened. For the past few weeks, their lives had been a whirlwind, from his recovery, to unraveling the truth about his accident, to seeing his brother arrested. But now, with the storm finally behind them, there was only this moment. And somehow, that felt even scarier. As they sat down, Anna couldn't ignore the way Grant watched her. Like he was memorizing every detail, like she was something fragile yet precious. You're quiet, she said, giving him a small, teasing smile. That's not like you. He exhaled, swirling his wine glass between his fingers. I've been thinking. That's even more dangerous, she joked. He didn't laugh. Instead, he leaned forward, his gaze burning into hers. Anna, do you know how many people walked away from me while I was in that coma? Her smile faded. 2. She knew. She had seen it firsthand, the way his family had treated him like a burden, the way his so-called friends had moved on. The only reason he had survived that darkness was because someone stayed. Because she stayed. But you didn't, Grant murmured. You were there, day after day. You took care of me when I couldn't even open my eyes. When I was nothing but a lost cause to everyone else, you refused to give up on me. Anna's throat tightened. She had never thought about it that way. She had just done what she felt was right. But to Grant, it had meant everything. Grant leaned closer, his fingers brushing against hers on the table. Anna, I have everything. His voice was soft but firm. Money, power, influence. But none of it means anything without you. Anna's breath hitched. Grant, let me finish, he whispered. His hand finally closed around hers, his thumb tracing slow, delicate circles against her skin. I don't know how it happened. I don't know when it started. But what I do know is that every moment I was trapped in that coma, you were the one keeping me alive. You were my light in the dark, Anna. Her eyes burned with tears. I love you. The words crashed into her, stealing the breath from her lungs. Not because she hadn't felt it too, but because hearing it from him made it undeniably real. Grant Carter, the man who had once lived in a world of cold calculations, business deals, and power plays, was now sitting across from her, bearing his soul. And for the first time in her life, Anna felt something she had never felt before. Truly, completely, irrevocably cherished. Tears slipped down her cheeks, but she smiled through them. Grant, she whispered, you have no idea how much that means to me. He reached up, gently wiping a tear from her face. "Then let me show you." And as he leaned in, pressing his forehead against hers, Anna knew. This was only the beginning. Months had passed since that fateful night when Grant confessed his love for Anna. And in that time, everything had changed. Grant had fully recovered, regaining his strength through endless hours of rehabilitation and training. His body was no longer weak, no longer held back by the accident that nearly took his life. And now? He was Grant Carter once more, back at the helm of Carter Enterprises, standing in the boardroom with the confidence of a man who had been to hell and back, and survived. But there was one crucial difference between the man he was before the accident and the man standing here now. This time he wasn't alone. This time he had Anna. And soon, if she said yes, she would be his forever. The rooftop of the Carter estate was bathed in the soft glow of the setting sun, casting warm golden hues across the city skyline. Anna stood at the edge, gazing at the breathtaking view, completely unaware of what was about to happen. "It's beautiful up here," she murmured, the breeze gently playing with her hair. Grant, standing behind her, smiled. "Not as beautiful as you." She turned to him, rolling her eyes playfully. "Smooth, Carter. Very smooth." But her teasing expression faded when she saw the way he was looking at her. There was something different in his eyes tonight. Something deeper, more certain, more infinite. Before she could ask, he took a deep breath. Then, slowly, he dropped to one knee. Anna's breath caught in her throat. Her hands flew to her mouth as Grant pulled out a small velvet box, flipping it open to reveal the most stunning engagement ring she had ever seen, an elegant diamond set in a delicate platinum band. But it wasn't the ring that took her breath away. It was him. It was the way his voice trembled slightly as he whispered, "Anna, you didn't just save my life. You became my life." Her heart pounded. "Before you, I had everything: money, power, success. But I was missing something. I was missing you." Tears welled in her eyes. "You're the reason I fought to live. The reason I found myself again. And now, I want to spend the rest of my life making sure you know just how much you mean to me." He held the ring up, his eyes never leaving hers. "Anna Monroe, will you marry me?" The world stood still. Anna couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. All she could do was nod frantically, laughter and tears spilling over at the same time. "Yes," she finally managed, her voice breaking. "Yes, Grant. 1,000 times yes." Grant let out a breath of relief, sliding the ring onto her finger before pulling her into his arms, into his world, into forever. And as their lips met under the fading sunlight, Anna knew. This was where she belonged. Always. The Carter estate had never looked more radiant than on their wedding day. The gardens were transformed into an enchanting wonderland. White roses lined the pathways, twinkling lights draped the towering oak trees, and soft music played in the background as guests gathered in awe. Anna stood at the grand entrance, dressed in an elegant white gown, her heart racing. "Are you ready?" Lisa, her maid of honor, whispered beside her. Anna took a deep breath, her fingers tightening around her bouquet. Then she looked up. And there he was. Grant stood at the altar, dressed in a classic black tuxedo, looking at her as if she was the only person in the universe. Her nerves vanished. "Pui." She stepped forward, walking down the aisle with absolute certainty. Each step brought her closer to forever. And when she finally reached him, Grant took her hands in his eyes shining with pure, unfiltered love. The vows were spoken, their promises sealed not just in words, but in the unbreakable bond they had built through every hardship, every battle, every moment of unwavering devotion. "I now pronounce you husband and wife." A cheer erupted as Grant cupped her face, pressing the most heartfelt, most meaningful kiss against her lips. And as the world rejoiced, Anna realized. This wasn't the end of their story. This was only the beginning. As the sun began to set, Grant and Anna slipped away from the crowd, walking hand in hand through the gardens, basking in their new reality. No more hospitals. No more loneliness. No more pain. Just them, together, always. Grant squeezed her hand gently. "You know," he murmured, "I thought I had everything before I met you." Anna smiled, resting her head against his shoulder. "And now?" He looked down at her, his expression soft, devoted, endless. "Now I know that nothing I had before matters. Because you are the greatest thing that's ever happened to me." Anna blinked back tears, overwhelmed by the depth of his words. And as they stepped forward, toward the golden glow of the setting sun, she knew. They had been through storms, darkness, near-death experiences. But in the end, love had won. And with Grant by her side, Anna was finally home. As Grant and Anna walked hand in hand into their happily ever after, their story became a testament to something truly powerful. Love is not just about finding someone, but about standing by them through every storm. Anna never gave up on Grant, even when the world had. And in the end, it was love, not money or power, that truly saved him. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Soul-Stirring Stories for more emotional and inspiring tales. Turn on notifications so you never miss a story that will move your soul. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the most beautiful love stories begin in the most unexpected ways. See you in the next story.